So you're traveling to Korea, and I'm sure Seoul is already on your bucket list. And you probably watched my Seoul guide video covering the riveting city. So now it is time to explore the rest of Korea. As your local friend who has traveled all around and lived here, I'm going to give you some pointers on some of the best parts about Korea, the stunning landscapes, the majestic architecture, and diverse flavors, so you can pick what sounds good to you as the nature-loving, Epicurean adventure seeker you are. So take some notes, and by the time you set foot into this beautiful country, you'll know exactly what to do. Quick geography lesson. Korea is a peninsula made up of 9 different provinces that are further broken down into counties and cities. We're going to focus on just a couple of provinces that are denser with attractions worth your visit. And as for a list of specific attractions within each region, I'll list a few of them in the description, but this guide is really meant to aid your understanding of what each region is known for, so you can set proper expectations for the kind of experience you'll have once you travel here. The first one on the list is Gangwon. It is by far the most beloved destination, especially amongst people living in Seoul, as it is just a 2 to 3 hour drive, depending on where exactly you're going to, of course. Gangwon province is best known for outdoor sports and leisure activities. It is a massive province, so to break it down into 2 parts, we have the inland, which is the mountainous region where all the best ski resorts in the country are. For that, and for skiing, Pyeongchang is the county that you want to go to. That was where the 2018 Winter Olympics was held and is home to 3 of the best ski resorts in the country: Alpensia, Yongpyeong, and Phoenix Park. Then as we drive a little to the east, we have the 3 coastal cities: Gangneung, Yangyang, and Sokcho. Gangneung will always be a fan favorite because it is just a 2-hour KTX ride away from Seoul. It is best known for the signature pine tree forests that parallel the beaches. And these beaches are also iconic for being the filming location of various TV shows, K-dramas, and music album covers. Being one of the most populated city in the province, you will find some delicacies of Gangwon-do in Gangneung, including soft tofu stew or sundubu, and also coffee. Then you'll drive a little up north and find Yangyang. This place is just young, packed with travelers in their 20s and 30s, visiting to enjoy surfing, yoga, music festivals as well. Also young in the sense that it's a newly developed travel destination. If we were to go back 10-15 years ago and ask a random stranger on the street where Yangyang is, chances are nobody would be able to tell you, because for the longest time, Yangyang was an unknown countryside with nothing but military facility protection areas that were off limits to civilians. It was only in early 2010s that a small group of surfers who were really passionate about surfing traveled all over the country to catch the best waves and discovered that the waves here were perfect year-round for surfing. Words traveled fast to their friends in Seoul, who also came down and fell in love, that some of them decided to quit their corporate jobs in the city and move here to set up surf schools, restaurants, and inns. So it is interesting to see that owners and entrepreneurs of these young establishments from Yangyang are actually from Seoul. And the growth of Yangyang doesn't stop there. Now, luxury hotels are currently being developed all across the beachfronts that used to be empty, and they'll all soon open up in the next 2 to 3 years. The one I'm excited about is Capella, which is going to be a wellness resort brand that came all the way from a company in Singapore. And all of these changes will for sure alter the culture and economy of the county. For the better or for worse, that is up for debate. And last but not least, in Gangwon-do, we have Sokcho, which is the smallest of the 3 cities that I mentioned, but it may still be worth a stop because it has something that you rarely find, which is a sight of the Seoraksan mountain right by the beach. So within one frame, you get a view of the mountain and the beach, which I didn't think was very special until I ran into a couple of foreign travelers while I was down there, and they were the ones who told me that was a rare find. Also, starting in 2027, there is going to be a direct ITX to and from Seoul, so all the more reason for you to visit. Then we're going to travel further down to Gyeongsangbuk-do province. Being further away from Seoul, it is a lesser known province to foreigners, but we can't sleep on it because it is home to Gyeongju. Gyeongju is a famous cultural city, and the most accurate description is this is where all the 5th graders go on their field trip for their history class. In the States, American 5th graders go to Washington, D.C., and in Korea, 5th graders go to Gyeongju. And it is indeed an appropriate destination for these educational purposes because it was once the capital of Silla, which is a kingdom that ruled the land now known as Korea from 1st century BCE to 9th century. So for almost a millennium, this kingdom thrived as one of the largest cities in the world and a prosperous one too. So if you want to check out some historical treasures like the Bulguksa Temple or the Folk Village, each of which were designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, then this is where you want to go. No wonder that the entire city is also referred to as a museum without walls. Then we'll move further south in Gyeongsangnam-do province to Busan. Busan is the Miami of Korea, quite literally because the mayors of Busan and Miami officially agreed to become sister cities. It is the largest port city in the country and the 2nd largest city after Seoul. In a sense, it's just like Seoul, a big city, even more futuristic skyscrapers, the beach, and of course, fresher seafood. As a local from Seoul, I think the most fascinating part about this city is the people. You know how there's always ongoing debate between people from different regions, like LA people versus New Yorkers? Well, we got one of those here. People always love to compare locals from Seoul with Busan because the regional dialect in Busan is so distinctive. There's also a lot of stereotypes around the personality traits that differ. Again, it is overgeneralization, but there's often talk of road rage that one can often find while driving in Busan. When people hear the word Busan, the place everybody thinks of is probably Haeundae, which is the main beach lined up by some of the best hotels in the country. It's also similar to Miami in the sense that the beach is always crowded, there's always parties going on. If you do end up going there, take a walk around the Dongbek Gangwon, which has a lighthouse and this wooden decked walkway that surrounds the Westin Chosun Hotel, and you'll get a view of the entire bay. While Haeundae is so iconic, there is a nearby district called Gyeongju that is receiving a lot of attention. And in this district, there's the Lotte World, and then there's going to be a Banyan Tree Hotel that will open in 2025. My favorite hotel in the country, Ananti Hilton, Busan, is also here. Because it's slightly removed from the core tourist attraction, you will be able to enjoy a slightly different side of Busan that is more peaceful, quiet, and private. But I can't wrap up this segment about Busan without mentioning the greatest project that is underway, and that is Oceanics Busan. Oceanics Busan is going to be the world's first floating city ever to be built. It is planned to be built from 2025 to 2028, executed by the city council that partnered with UN Habitat, and the two have joined forces to find the solution to rising sea levels and also growing population. Another county in this province is Namhae. If you ask me, Namhae is the most beautiful place in this country, relatively untouched by tourism because it is difficult to get to. It is a 5 to 6 hour drive, or you can take the bus, but there's no direct flight or a train. But it is precisely that lack of accessibility that retains the innocence of the place. I would recommend Hallyeohaesang National Park, which is a park where you can see the ocean surrounded by the beautiful islands. And I got a great news for golf lovers. If you love golf, this is probably the nicest place you can find in the country. The South Cape Owners Club is consistently rated as one of the most beautiful golf resorts in the world. The only thing is that if you're a beginner like me, be prepared to lose some balls in the ocean. Which brings us to our last stop, which is Gyeongju in Jeollabuk-do province. I got one word for this county: gastronomy. Every Korean knows that Gyeongju has impeccable Korean traditional food, that Gyeongju even claimed bibimbap as its regional delicacy. In fact, some of the top celebrity chefs in the country happen to be born and raised here and naturally picked up on high culinary standards that later led them to success in life. So if you're ready to be splashed with the flavors of delectable Korean dishes and the sights of traditional Hanok village, this is your stop. As I wrap up this video, you might be thinking, but Patty, you forgot the most important island. And you're absolutely right. Jeju-do is the #1 must-see place in Korea, but it was not mentioned today because I feel that it deserves a video of its own. I also feel like there are other great cities I either have not mentioned, or the ones I did mention I only licked the surface of. So if there are places you'd like me to delve deeper into, leave them in the comments below, and perhaps we'll visit them in the future. Finally, I want to bring to your attention that just like you would expect in other great cities in the world like New York or London, Seoul is also a complex melting pot. Only 50% of the population are true locals, and the other 50% are made up of people from all of these other regions all across the country. So learning about the characteristics of these regions will increase your appreciation of Korea, rather than looking at Korea as just another item on your bucket list. After your travels, you'll have a more sophisticated understanding of the complexity of Seoul as the capital that is larger than the sum of its parts. But don't you worry about being overwhelmed, because if you made it to the end of this video, you're in good hands. And as we always say, the more you know, the more you see.